Good morning, SKN. Our next guest spent his formative years growing up in the community of Macknight and refers to himself as a true Macknighter. He continues to give back to his community and the youth of the nation in various areas, including sports. The recent fatal shooting of a school guard at his alma mater sparked a desire to speak out against such senseless acts of violence. To tell us about the Garden HotSpurs FC March Against Violence, we welcome Nubian Greaux to Good Morning SKN. Good morning, Nubian, and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
All righty. So we'll start. We are aware of the impetus for the march. So how did your knowledge, your organization, and collaborative spirit help with the organization of the recent march?
I can't even say I would take full credit for it.
Oh.
It's just that I have a very good team in the Garden HotSpurs, namely Juliana Morton, Adiola Moore, Hollis Prentice, and the other folks that associate with the team. We saw the need for it. We have always been working with the Irish Town Primary School and been working in the community also. And so, because all of us from Macknight, it's our civic responsibility to step up, not only to in acts of violence, but in terms of peace, help out with the school, help out in the community, help out the elderly folks, help out the youths. So it was easy. It was an easy decision for us to go out and bring the community together using our platform, the Garden HotSpurs Football Club, to step up and show the community that we are not for this and we could do better.
Yes, sure can.
All right, so let's talk about that march in the context of the change that you hope to evoke, because obviously you're shining a light on something that was an egregious act of violence that nobody should ever suffer. When the community came together like that, what was the sense that you got that you were being effective in your messaging?
We planned it one day and executed it the other. So it was quick, and a lot of persons saying they didn't get to participate because how quick it was and how quick the response was and how quick we saw the need to deal with the issues in our community. So with that said, we got good responses. People want to do more. Persons have reached out to me to do other stuff for the school. Like a gentleman called me and we were chatting on WhatsApp, and he wants to donate towards getting cameras up in the school.
That's nice.
You know? And so initiatives like this bring out that good in our community, because we have always been plagued as a violent community forever, before my time. And so it's time for us, but this is almost, as I could recall, this is the first time we ever came out and had a walk through the community in protest of what was happening. And so it's something that we will continue to do and find more meaningful ways to engage the youth, because it's almost like a twofold approach. We must stop what's going on and stop the feeding process that caters to that. I mean, and it's a hard task, because everything almost in those communities caters to that. You know, if you listen to songs nowadays, don't check sitting back in the class saying on the subjects, but you still got a beamer with a young lady in it. How much of us working hard could have a beamer, you know? And so the lifestyle and social media and the songs caters to that. So it's a very, very difficult process. And coming from those neighborhoods where it's tough and it's hard, something you don't have both parents in your life, you don't have any proper guidance, any proper structure, it just lends more to that type of activity. So it's a tough process, but we will continue working and doing what we have to do.
You grew up in that community, you've since elevated yourself. Now, some persons, when they normally grow up in the ghetto, as we refer to it locally, once we elevate, we'll be like, I want nothing else to do with that, I go on, I'm better than that. How have you stayed in this form of activism for your community, and why did you stay?
Well, I still live there. Well, I just moved a couple streets up.
Okay.
but I am still there. And like I would always say, my kids play basketball in Saho, Dorset, on the in the basketball court there, and so it's more for me to go and fix that community that I still live in and my kids live in, to make it safer and better for them, and not only for my kids, but for everybody in the community. Because I'll feel especially hurt knowing that something happened to my kids in my community and I had an opportunity to do something about it and sat there and do nothing. But what I find is that most of us, we like to sit back and wait for somebody to do it for us. We're either too scared, too shy, too coward, too something other than brave, and we sit back and wait for the police to do it for us, wait for the schools, wait for the church, wait for the politicians, and well, that's not my job.
Exactly.
But at the end, it's all our job.
Yeah.
Because a lot of innocent persons were killed in the past just by being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
You know, and gun violence in my community has affected a lot of us. A lot of us grew up in trauma just by being in those communities, hearing shots, hearing, passing and seeing somebody lying down on the ground somewhere. So it's about time to make that meaningful change.
I've got to ask you, because I'm compelled to do it. It's a twofold question. One is, how do you feel as a male that you are able to impact young males who might be vulnerable to this lifestyle? Because I think seeing you in the forefront, living a life that's exemplary, could actually inspire other males. The other part to that question concerns something that you said about the cameras. When I think of cameras being installed in a primary school where a shooting occurred, a fatal shooting occurred, I can't help but think that there is a sense of innocence being lost. So how do you balance as well that need to protect the most innocent among us with the need to ensure their safety?
Go back to the first question. It gives me great joy and pleasure knowing that I could possibly avoid somebody's family being hurt, some child growing up without their father, or some child growing up without their mom, because that is what happened in the last shooting. And those from before, I'm almost positive that all of them had kids. So there is a fatherless home at this point in time. And in the initial statement, what we call the peace program, that was one of my driving forces, knowing that we could all come together and avoid bloodshed, avoid St. Kitts name calling on the international scene again, you know, because I saw a video like a week ago, and St. Kitts is what, number 7 or 8 most dangerous country in the world? Yeah, St. Vincent is ahead of us, and we are named with countries like Syria and Pakistan and Jamaica.
We're not that big.
And we're not that big. So it was especially important for me to put my all into it, to change that stigma around the whole country and also extend it into Nevis and see it work, you know? Places that guys couldn't go or persons that they couldn't speak to in the past. We all had one big party down in McKnight, you know, and everybody was there. And that for me was the part that cemented it, where saying, look, this seems as though it has potential, and we must take it all around and sell it properly so that everybody could believe it. And most of them, fortunately, I have no doubt that they would never go back down that path.
That's good.
Because they couldn't attend graduations, they were confined to a prison in their own home and in an alley, you know? And so most of them would not go there. It seems as though a few of them have some issues that to me need massaging and maintenance and working it out, you know? and it's all our responsibility. It's our responsibility to step up and do something about it.
All right, to the other part of the question, which is, how do you feel about the cameras being installed in a place where the most innocent among us are? Are we losing that sense of innocence in our community? How do you feel about it?
It's one, it provides a sense of relief to the parents who are actually sending the kids there. Some of the kids don't really comprehend the magnitude of what happened, so it would be fun for them to kill somebody out there and what's not. And for some, others might be scared knowing that they heard the shots, because most of the kids wasn't at the school at the time. So for some kids, it's coming and watching and have the little conversations about it. But for parents now who understand the implications of what transpired at the school, to me, the cameras send a bad message, one, but it provides a bit of safety, a sense of safety for the parents, knowing that, well, cameras there and cameras normally act as a deterrent.
Yes.
And I was told that the ministry would put guards at the school, and so that should help a bit. But it's like, for instance, at my club, some of the players were having the conversation of moving training from the club, because the school and the club is almost the same thing. It's right next door. And I personally would not want to move training from our playground, because it sends the ultimate message where we are not safe in our community, you know? And so it's a kind of bittersweet moment where you say, boy, yeah, we want to do this to enhance security, or we want to install cameras to send a message to the parents that the kids are safe. But if we have to go through all of that in a school environment, it shows that there is no limit to where gun violence and gang violence would take us.
Bittersweet, as you say.
You also mentioned in your bio that you're very passionate about the development of young people. So with the crime that we know that continues to plague your community on and off, what education is there in place, or what activities are there in place for the upcoming youth of the community to not engage in the acts of violence that we see sometimes?
Well, I could go back a bit further. When we started working on the peace process, I handed something to the Ministry of National Security called the Second Chance Program. That Second Chance Program was a training-based program. We would get the guys together from McKnight. It was supposed to be a pilot project where we'd get the guys from McKnight, put them on a program where they would attend classes in the morning, and they would ultimately graduate from those classes, and with assistance from the government or in the private sector, we'd find jobs for them. We'd furnish them with the necessary tools to start and get them out there in the work field, and try to assist them. If the government have small projects that they could send that way, then they would send it. It never came to anything, but that is one of the first steps that I saw that we needed to take in training our youths. You do them a great injustice in just giving them free money, or just telling them, well, let's leave the violence alone and don't replace that with an option, because I kid you not, they made money from being that way, from guns, drugs, whatever it was, extortion. So you have to replace that with something positive. And they are very, very influential. So if you use the influence towards a project, training in electrical or plumbing or AC repair or masonry or carpentry, and the person that they have influence over see them in that light, then you start to make the change. And once you could start changing those guys, then the person that look up to them start seeing them in a different light, and you start curbing that flow of persons trying to be like the older self.
Yes.
So they would want to know, be an electrician also. You might not be as intelligent to be an engineer or an astronaut or a chemist, but he's making a life and a way in being productive, and I can also. So that was one of my first approach to dealing with uplifting the community in a positive way, providing training for those at-risk youths. And then going into the schools now and helping with extra classes. There's a lot of Spanish children in the Irish Town Primary School, helping them learn English. A lot of times what happens, and we don't even recognize it, is that we are filled with Spanish kids, and a lot of times they grow up and they don't even speak English properly because they stick to themselves.
Yes.
And they don't integrate in our community in a meaningful way. And so it's English and Spanish on that other side. And I was even looking at it the other day and saying, but our Spanish kids, how much of them does actually go on to university from being here? Do we neglect them indirectly? Or do we look at them in a different light? And how do we embrace them? Because at the end of the day, they're here and they're not going anywhere. So we have to figure out how can we work and live together with them. And so it's just going out into the schools, getting everybody to understand what is our main objective and pushing towards it at all costs.
Well, sometimes change comes slow, but any change is a step in the right direction.
Correct.
So we want to thank you for the work that you're doing. Is there anything that you need by way of public assistance, perhaps an appeal to the public to help your community? If that's the case, you can look into that camera and make that appeal.
Well, in the upcoming weeks, what we want to do is to engage in more community activity, bring awareness to what's happening in our community, and for us not to be afraid. At some point in time, it might affect us, but there is a chance that working together, it will not. And I just want to have everybody be aware, be vigilant, and if you see kids going the wrong way, come and say something, come and talk to us at the football club. We accept everybody at the football club. That is our platform, that is our safe zone. Half of what we do is sports. The other half is community service, building strong men and women in McKnight community, and everywhere that we could have our reach. So I'm inviting everybody to come out, and you want to bring your kids down there. We do mentorship, we do leadership skills, using football, and we would also be working with the school in the next upcoming weeks. I spoke to a young lady who wants to help out in track and field. Okay. So she would be engaging in that, and we welcome that under our umbrella. Anything that we could do to assist the youths in our community, we will do at all costs. Well, and indirectly also assisting the parents.